Hi guys, welcome. My name is Maggie and this is my magnificent fiance, Amy, and together we're ThinkerThemer. In our channel, we try to look at games from two different points of view. The thinker, who's going to be looking at the mechanics and how things actually
all that matters.
work, and the themer, all that really matters, is the theme, the story, and how well integrated all of that is, and how much do you feel like you're living in that world. So today we're going to be talking about The Magnificent, which is a game by Aporta Games. The designers are Eilif, Svensson, I'm going to butcher this, I'm so sorry, and Kristian Østby. The artist is French artist Martin Mottet. Again, I hope I said that right. And in The Magnificent, you play the role of Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman, where you're, wouldn't you agree? You probably
a little darker.
Debatable. You are in charge of putting together the best show and selling the most tickets to your performance, and you're going to be achieving that through a combination of getting amazing acts, making sure that you have the tents where those acts are going to be performed, and building the facilities that those acts are going to need to perform whatever show they're going to do.
So at its core, this game is a dice drafting game. There are a public pool of die that are rolled by the first player, and then everyone gets to choose one of those over the course of 4 turns in 3 different rounds. When you take a die, you place it on one of your ringmaster cards, and they have special abilities that allow you to manipulate the value of that die or to gain other benefits. But what you're trying to do is use the color and the power of that die, as usual in this type of die drafting game, to then activate one of 3 different actions in this game. The 3 different actions you can take, you can build polyomino tiles. And if you're familiar with Feast for Odin, this part of the game, favorite game. This part of the game will very much be familiar to you. There, on your individual player board, there is a grid where you'll be placing polyomino tiles of different shapes and different colors. And you are ideally trying to cover up the bonuses to give yourself rewards, but also fill the board as well as possible to achieve different fulfillment objectives. And also at the end of the game, you are rewarded with victory points depending on how well you filled that. So that is the first thing that you can do with your die. The second thing you can do is you can go on a little caravan tour. There are 3 different colored caravans on the board, and they have a little rondelle each. Oh, I love a rondelle where you can stop anywhere you like up until the power of your die. And along the way, you're picking up gems and other benefits, and they relate strongly to the colors of each of the caravans. The third thing that you can do, and the final and main part of the strategy of this game, is you can put on a performance. I mean, that is the goal when you're in the big top, and you put on a performance of different actors or performers who you're collecting along the way that require you to have different combinations of the polyomino tiles. So for example, this card needs me to have, so that I can activate it, one of the green small pieces, which I do, so I'm able to activate that card and gain the benefits associated, victory points and money in this example. So those are the 3 core actions in the game that make up the crux of the game, but along the way you'll also be scoring unique scoring conditions from your ringmaster cards that are different to that of your opponents and increase the variability in the gameplay, because you're all going for different objectives. Means you might puzzle out the polyomino tiles slightly differently, and you might be focused on achieving different things by the end of the game. I think if I was to evaluate the mechanics of this game, I would say that the board and the fact that everything is colored in black, it gives off this amazing appearance when you look at it, and I have no doubt that the illustrator is very talented. But when you think from my perspective, which is always strictly from a mechanics perspective and from a teach perspective, when you're trying to get your head around this game, I feel like the color makes it unnecessarily complicated. The cards are black, even though they're, there's objective cards or your ringmaster cards versus your performer cards. They're all black, which makes it just hard to get your head around the different sections of the board, the different actions on the board. If everything was a little more colorful, and a little more defined, I think that would have helped us to grasp what we were doing quicker, because at its core, this is not a difficult game. This is a mid-weight game, I would say. There are a few different things that you need to keep your eye on, but I don't know how you felt, but I felt like when I was playing it, we were both really doing our own thing. It's another one of those games where at times I was so busy doing the calculations in my head about my next move that I wasn't even paying attention to what you were doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do play other die drafting games. I mean, Coimbra, which we love, where there's a little more interaction in terms of the drafting of the die. And
yes, a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Well, yeah, it's kind of like almost auctioning for different activities, and it's a bit more like a worker placement game. Whereas this, it never felt to me like there was a trade-off I was making. It never felt like it was particularly tense. And we've only played this as a 2-player game. So we should put that out there that, you know, you don't increase the die by that many for an additional player. And so given that, I imagine that as the player count increases, this will certainly get much tighter and potentially more interesting. But if we're evaluating it purely at a 2-player count, this game falls a bit flat for me because it lacks tension.
Yeah.
I never felt like I wasn't going to achieve certain things. It felt like a little scrappy at the end, trying to maximize the victory points at the end, but it's also quite hidden what the other player's doing and what they're achieving because you've all got different objectives. So for that reason, it felt, a little like I was playing by myself.
Yeah. Well, I love playing by myself with other people. That's why I love Euro style games. I feel like I enjoy playing it. I actually, I enjoy mapping out the strategy and thinking ahead to that sweet payoff of when you get to perform all those performances that you've been banking for a while and trying to build your setup for. And so weirdly, it's like you have this thing of all of a sudden you have a runaway of points, and so and so that's exciting, and for the other person will be like, oh, I'm never going to catch up. But then the other person has another runaway of points. So we found that even though we were doing these crazy jumps of points here and there, it still remained quite tight.
Yeah, the balance is excellent, or seems to be quite good.
But I agree with you that at no point did I feel like, that nail-biting moment of I'm not going to make it. Like, it always felt like there were enough options, which I think it's good from a not feeling anxious point of view. Like I like having a pleasant play experience, and even as a solo player, that's one of the things that I enjoy. It's just it's me trying to crack the game against the game designer, or that's how I imagine it. In this game, however, it's all those components. It's the ingredients were there, but somehow I had a pleasant time. But I wasn't
it was pleasant.
Oh my goodness, it's
just it was pleasant enough, but it didn't give me that sense of as soon as I finish it, I want to try it again and try something else. It felt like even though we were trying to achieve different things, the scoring conditions are all kind of slight variations, and really you need to build out your polyomino tiles and you need to be doing performances, and it feels like that will be a little bit repetitive. I'm not sure there's a lot of replayability there, but I also wanted to compare obviously this map, which is extremely similar to that of Feast for Odin, where you're using tiles. But in Feast for Odin, you're covering up negative points. And so that that alone increases the tension of that need to achieve the coverage while also covering off a million other objectives that you were trying to do. So
stakes are high.
Stakes are much higher. And every move counts. And with this, I felt like it was way more forgiving. And some people will really like that. So I don't want to say that this is a bad game by any means. It's just not a game for us. I don't think there's enough here in terms of tension or complexity or variation in what you can do. It's not inherently competitive enough for us. And so for that reason, I can't see us pulling this out over Feast for Odin or Coimbra, which are quite similar in some of the mechanics. And so, for that reason, I don't think... sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, because you've been bringing up Feast for Odin and Coimbra, I was about to talk about the theme integration in this. Like, how much do I feel like I am Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman trying to put together? And I would say not at all. It's like
not at all.
The theme feels kind of like it could be anything really. And I think part of it is because it's like, yes, you get the sense that you are building, but the shapes don't actually make any kind of sense from a thematic point of view. It's like polyomino, Tetris style puzzle. These shows, again, aside from just having a magician or a performer's name and then their shapes, there's nothing else. And even if you look at the rule book, I actually had to go to the BGG to see like what is the theme. That like the description in BGG actually had a better theme explanation. Even in the back of the box, which is usually where they're trying to introduce the theme, it was just very like almost like superficially just kind of like, oh, yeah, this is the theme. This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna draft. You're gonna. So it's obviously there was a lot of focus on the mechanics, which is fine. There's
but actually, you could completely overhaul every image here, and it would make zero difference to the gameplay. It would. Yeah, I agree.
So, but as you were talking about Feast for Odin and Coimbra, so Feast for Odin, obviously, and some people don't like that, the stress and the tension of starting with such an overwhelmingly negative score, and
Coimbra is very brutal as well. Yeah, it is brutal.
And so both, and also Coimbra is another one that like the theme is pasted on it. But I don't mind because it's like in that one, even though I'm the themer, it's like the artwork is so beautiful and the gameplay is so pleasurable. We should do Coimbra actually. We should do a review of Coimbra. Yeah,
we should.
So I didn't mind with that one. With this one, I enjoyed the ride, but then I left a little bit wanting. It's almost like there's just something that it should feel better than it does.
Yeah, and yes, for that reason, it's like a 6 or 7 out of 10. It's like a pleasant experience, a relaxing experience, but one that I'm not itching to get off the shelf.
But actually, that's what I wanted to say. Like, if you don't like the competitive or that feeling of tension or stress when you're playing other similar mechanic style games, this would actually be very suitable then for your gaming.
And actually, a friend recommended this to us. Because she knows the types of games that we enjoy, and it does have very similar mechanics to that. And she was playing it as a solo gamer and really enjoyed that experience. Yeah. So we haven't played it solo, but again, there is a puzzle here. There's a puzzle that you're working towards. There's definitely a sequence of events that you have to do. It's just not particularly competitive. So yeah.
And you love the competitive.
I do. You do too.
And well, I love making you happy, and I love seeing you happy. And I also won the first time we played this game.
Oh yeah, she just loves winning.
I love winning.
Making me happy
every subsequent time, as I often do. It's like
whoa. No, you won a few times.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a blur.
That's why I hate it. We've got to get rid of it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't hate this game at all. This might be actually one that we gift to some friends who are more mid-weight gamers, because they'll probably get a lot of enjoyment out of this, as many people have been enjoying this game. It's just not one that will stick in our collection. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this discussion and you want to follow along with more of them, please subscribe to our channel. Hit the like if you enjoyed this review. And we will be back with more games and more Kickstarter conversations real soon. Thanks. Bye for now.